look at that. Yeah. Cutting and buffing today, guys. And I thought I'd bring you in and do a short video to put on the channel, having me cut out runs. All right, so just for taking a run out, we're not going to get into every aspect of cutting and buffing, but I'm going to show you the technique that I use and a few of the simple tools. But I am going to talk about sandpaper grits a minute, just to get us all familiar with stuff so we can speak the same language when we're talking about cutting and buffing. Buffing and cutting, all that. So I have DA paper here. This is called a film type paper. This stuff's got kind of an aggressive edge, so you got to be careful when you're sanding with it. There is that's 1,000, 1,500. This is all Velcro stuff, but you can see it's super thin. Then I have 8,000 up first. Here's 3,000 grit, and the 3,000, this is 3M Trizac. There's a ton of companies that make this. Buy what you can afford, guys. The Trizac stuff does last a long time, but it is pricey. This is a foam paper, so it's made to be used damp, but not just like soaking wet. So we got 1,000, 15, 3,000, and then you move up to this stuff that's 8,000 grit that's just insanely fine. If you were doing a black car and you're really working to get that high-end look, yeah, you can take it all the way up to 8,000. For what we're going to do today, we're going to stop at 3,000 on this car and use our orbital polisher to get it done. So that's all DA paper. You can use them, most of these damp. Don't just hose them down with water. Something that's a little cheaper, and what we're going to be using to, especially to take this run out, is just standard old wet or dry sandpaper. So I have same kind of deal. I go from 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 grit there. All right, those are all wet paper. They're like half of a full sheet. You can buy it in the wide sheets and then just tear it from there, because we're going to end up cutting this up smaller for taking runs out. And I've got some DA paper here, and this is a piece of 800, or a roll of 800, just sticky back paper, PSA I think they call it, and we will be using that just to get our coarsest marks out when we start taking these runs out. You could use the 800 on a small little piece of something to knock a bad dirt nib down. But when you start using that coarse a grit of sandpaper, and we're talking about cutting and buffing, you really have to work to get those scratches out. So that's a mindset that I always try to use. Any scratch I put in, I've got to get that scratch out. So got to be careful. All right, so first thing I do when I take a run out is I get out a brand new razor blade. Yeah, everybody squinch and go yikes, and I take just a piece of any sandpaper and I take and drag back and forth in this manner. What I'm doing is I'm rounding off the corners of said razor blade, and that kind of minimizes digging in with the edge of that thing, because that sharp corner, it can really gouge into your clear or your paint, whatever it might be. So just real quick, take that thing, cut a little bit of that round off. I'm using 80 grit. It'd be pretty handy to have a little piece of 320 and finish taking the bad scratches out of there, because you might leave a burr on that with 80 grit. All right, so got this done. Let's go look at this run with the guide coat, Sharpie marker on it. All right, so typically I would not use Sharpie on paint, but I'm doing it for you guys. And I keep calling it Sharpie. This is not an actual Sharpie marker. It is, I think, a Cobalt brand. I'm tried all different ones. This is the first cobalt one I've seen, so I was like, hey, I'll buy that and see how long it'll last. It says 2 times longer, so we'll see. Anyway, we got that on there. Let's get our razor blade and go to scratch and paint. All right, here we go. Wish us luck. And all I'm doing, I'm holding that at a 90-degree angle to the surface, and I'm dragging in one direction. And man, I'm looking to make sure that I'm staying right on top of that run. And if it sounds like fingernails on the chalkboard to you guys, I'm sorry. It's just one of the natures of the beast here. We got to do it, got to get it out. And you want to get this part done before you do any other color sanding on the panel that you're working on, because you've got a minimum amount of paint to deal with or work with. You know, we talk about mil thickness, and on one of these refinishes, you know, I might only have like 5 or 6 mils of clear when I start this, and that's like 3 sheets of paper. It would be about 9 mils maybe. So really thin clear coat. That's just the nature of it. I could sand and I could re-clear this, which if it was going to be an all-out show vehicle, that would be the thing to do. But maybe put 4 coats of clear on, let it dry for a week if you don't have a bake booth, and come back, block it down with some 800, maybe 1000 grit, maybe even 600 to get it super flat, and then re-clear the thing. Here, we're just trying to get homie where his car looks nice and cruisable, very cruisable. You know, you don't have to be perfect to be a driver. So, you can see how pretty much that Sharpie is gone where the lines of that run were. You can see the amount of clear that we've scraped off. So now we got that out, we've got to deal with the scratches that we left from this. So we will use a block. I'll probably block over it with 800 lightly, 1000 grit lightly, and then we'll step up to 1500 on a block, and then 1500 on the DA, then 3000 on the DA. And that's kind of the way that I've done this for a long time. It is just a stir stick. Yeah, you can cut them any size you want them to kind of fit the area you're working in. And this time I have this one wrapped with a little piece of that 800 grit DA paper, and it's just made to use dry. So again, clear coat's very, very thin. All we're trying to do right now is eliminate scratches. And kind of the more steps you take, like going from 800 to 1000 to 12 or 15, that shortens the amount of time you have to use each grit. So if you don't mind sitting there sanding a while, you could probably get them razor marks out with 1000 grit. And then by doing that, you wouldn't have to buy 800. I'm going to say you will need some 1000, you're going to need some 1500, probably more of it, and then the 3000 to do this whole car. You could probably do it with 3 discs if you're careful of how often you clean it. I just have this stuff around here because, yeah, we're doing paint and body work all the time. Another little tip: circles seem to help cut things flatter, faster, like dirt nibs, or like I'm working just on what I would call the head of this run right here. Yeah, that's pretty small. So you can see just a slight bit there. So we're going to stop with this grit, and we're going to move up to 1000 grit. We're going to switch over to wet sanding as well. We hit this with 8, got it down that far. I took a piece of 1000 grit, cut it to fit a small wooden block. Just take that, roll it up on there. Yep, twist it up tight. Get that. So you got a nice flat sanding surface. little bit of water, and you just have to remember, all we're trying to do is get out 800 grit scratches and keep this thing flat as we're going. Yeah. So there you go. Got most of the rest of that guide coat off of it. Got just that little head still that's trying to show. All right. So what we do now, I just blew that off to kind of dry real quick. Now look for any deep scratches in it, and seeing none, we're going to move from this up to 1500. That'll be a 500 grit jump, and yeah, we should be able to proceed with doing our sanding with a DA after that. We'll go 1500 on a DA, 3000, and then this spot will be done. It'll be ready to buff. All right, so there you go, 1500. Fold it around, and more of the same. There's a little dirt nib right here. We're going to go ahead and take him out while we're doing this sanding. Always nice to just help get rid of all that stuff. And yeah, now use a spray bottle. Okay, you can take your favorite soda bottle, poke a hole in the lid, fill that up with water, whatever. It all works, guys. No problem. Just the only thing is we just want no more scratches. Yeah. All right, there we go. Let's go to the DA now. Well, we've got 1500 grit on our DA here, and we're going to use it. The DA scratch just seems to be less aggressive than sanding by hand, so I've start the DA process with the grit that I finished using by hand. May not make a difference, but it makes me feel better. Beside him, let's get rid of him too. All right, there we go. A couple of dirt nibs gone back there, a little further away from where we're actually working at. Yep, this is how it starts. One little spot, and then, oh my gosh, let's buff half the dang car. All right. Now, we're going to move up to 3000. This is more like foam here. This is Meguiar's brand, which has been bought by 3M. Yeah, random facts. So, I just spray that, spray this. Not soaking wet, just a damp application. No red on our pad, so that's always a good sign. Now, I did sand quite a bit further out with that 3000 than we did with our initial 1500 sand. And there is like a reason for that. We're trying to get rid of the defect here, but by doing that, we're going to sand the finish flat. So we need to blend the texture in. So we're taking and we're gradually going from out of the gun sprayed texture to this finely sanded and buffed flat texture here. And it's going to make it somewhat disappear. Will you be able to see it? Yeah, guys, if you look at it hard, you're going to see it. But it's a driver car. We're trying to flatten it out, make it nice, and get rid of these runs. So that's where we're at. Okay, it wouldn't be tips and tricks without giving you some tips here. So before I start compounding, it's important to get all of that sanded clear coat off of the surface. Get us back down to a clean substrate to buff on. That what happens with your clear, if you leave that on there, you could potentially remelt some of that, fill in scratches, make it shine, and then the first time it gets power washed, the shine's gone, that clear washes out, and you're back to a dull surface. So anyway, we'll do that. Now, for our compounding, we're going to use a blue pad, which you can see this one needs to be replaced, but I'm hoping to get this car buffed before I start using my new pad. We're using that on our Rupes 21 millimeter cut. Thing works awesome. You can use whatever rotary tool, whatever buffing stuff you've got. You could take this by hand at this point and compound it up. It'd just be slower than the dickens. So we're going to use this thing, put a little compound on her, and yeah, get it buffed up. So we're going to go small amount. Take your tool, get it started spinning a little bit. We're spreading it out both on the surface and on the pad a little bit, just to make it not sling stuff everywhere. So that was first application. We got it pretty darn nice. There's a little dull spot right in the bottom of that line, which is typical up here. Looks like most all the scratches are gone, man. And I'll move you all around, let you look. I mean, all signs of that run are gone. You can see a little dirt nib there. Not bad though, guys, not bad. All right, so first compound, we got it really close. Got one little dull area here. I'm gonna hit it a second time, use about the same amount of compound there as the first one. Same technique, get that, spin that, let it hit, smear it around. All right, 2 applications, full shine, I guarantee you. We just take that little microfiber and clean the rest of that compound off of there. All right, there you have it, fellas. Ta-da! All right, so you can see no more run, nice shiny paint. All it takes is to do that all over every square inch of your project, guys, and you can have that show car shine, as we like to call it. I hope you enjoyed today's video and liked the content. Trying to do some of these shorter videos showing a skill or a technique in this refinishing world. So if you like it, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, guys. Let's build this community up so that you know, we can get more of these how-to videos out. If there's something that you do different or you want to see me show tips and tricks on, leave me a comment about what you'd like to see, and we'll keep pushing these out as we have time to make them. So you guys have an awesome day, and yeah, a lot more car here for me to do. So catch you all on the next video.